romance anime isn't really something that I watch or talk about, mainly because no for particular reason about it being bad or anything, but there's a lot of tropes that exist in this genre that I just don't really care for seeing over and over again, because a lot of them have very similar plots and similar character archetypes and pretty much the exact same tropes done over and over and over again. And after a while of seeing certain tropes, you tend to get really sick and tired of seeing them unless they do something unique and different with them. Like the typical trope of we have a guy and a girl, and one of them says something under their breath, like how they really like said person next to them, or yada yada yada, whatever it is that they want, that they're talking about in the scene. Other person asks what they said, and then the other one gets embarrassed and tries to pretend like they didn't say anything at all. A trope like that exists in multi different types of anime and genre, but after a while of seeing it, it gets old and it gets annoying because of the trope, and sometimes tropes can be really, really, really annoying. But with this one in particular, this is a romance anime that I saw over the weekend last week, and I really enjoyed it. I was on YouTube, and every now and again, sometimes you get some weird YouTube recommendations, and then I was seeing a whole bunch of clips for the anime called Komi Can't Communicate, which is obviously based off of the manga series of the same name. And from the clips that I was seeing, it was really cute, it was really endearing, and I was getting attached to the characters just off of the simple small snippets of clips that I was seeing on YouTube. And it got to the point where I was seeing so many of them at a certain point where I just started thinking, well, why don't I just go ahead and watch the show myself? Because I'm disinvested into the characters already. Let's go ahead and see it for myself. And I started watching it, and the premise is exactly as it sounds. The main character, Shoko Komi, is a girl who has not a communication disorder. Shoko Komi is a girl who has social anxiety, and she doesn't really know how to communicate with others, and she gets so nervous and so anxious to the point where she doesn't really know how to communicate with other people. She doesn't say anything at all. She just kind of keeps to herself, and she doesn't even really talk to her family just because she doesn't really know what to say or how to communicate properly. But the whole premise of the show is that this is a girl who can't communicate too well with people, but who really, really wants to communicate with other people. And honestly, I can kind of relate a lot to this, because in my actual real life, when I went to school, I was the quiet kid in class. I didn't really speak to any people. It was hard for me to want to open up to others, and I only had a few select friends that I really had. Obviously, I could talk and communicate with people. It wasn't on anything of the scale of Komi. Obviously, that's kind of taken to a little bit more of an extreme. But there are people like her in the real world, and it was incredibly endearing to see a character like this in a show being represented. It was really endearing. I was really enjoying that, and I really wanted to see more of that. And in the first episode, she is immediately the most popular girl in her school. She's seen as pretty much a goddess, and there are obviously a lot of gags revolving around her being really attractive in the show. And obviously she can't communicate, so that she doesn't really say anything, right? She does. Some people have misconceptions about her, but she can't correct them because she's too nervous to say anything, too anxious. She just doesn't say anything. So people keep having this misconceptions about her, but she just keeps on going about. And then eventually she befriends this boy named Tadano, and they quickly become friends. And she tells him that she wants to make 100 friends because she likes communicating with others, but she doesn't know how to. She's too anxious and shy and nervous. And that's pretty much what the whole premise of the story is about. A lot of anime that I talk about and cover on this channel have a lot to do with a lot of world building and character setups and stuff like that. But the main thing that this anime focuses about, and what's different from others that I talk about, is there isn't world building necessary. And honestly, because I've been watching a lot of shows that revolve around that, particularly because I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recently, it's nice and refreshing to not have to see something that's trying to build up its world and then its characters, so that way we understand what's going on within the world and why it makes sense in that world. Komi Can't Communicate is basically just based off of the real world, so I don't really have to focus on like the nitty-gritty details of the background or how they're explaining how the world is. This is all about the characters, and characters are very important in a lot of different media, not just anime. And it was refreshing to see and watch an anime that focuses solely on that, with a character slash characters that are incredibly likable and endearing, such as Tadano and Komi. They're just two people who are trying to make a lot of friends along the way whilst they're in high school, and a lot of the scenarios that they're in are just incredibly relatable. And like I said, I don't really watch a lot of romance animes, so if there are other romance anime like this, I wouldn't really know anything about it just because I don't really watch them. But I think a thing that stands out with Komi Can Communicate in combination with a lot of other romance anime is that obviously it's a comedy, so there's a lot of comedy focus as well, but that's not really anything that's different about it. The thing that's different about it is the fact that our main character, Komi, doesn't speak. We have to rely on what the animators and the artists are trying to communicate just with her body language and the stuff that they're doing with her. Like sometimes she gets really excited about something and she gets little cat ears because she's really excited about something that she's been wanting to do, and she has to write down what it is that she wants to say since she writes something down. Sometimes we have another character who tries to figure out what she's trying to say or how she's feeling in the moment, and just having to find other ways to figure out what our main character is saying other than them just telling it to us flat out. It's different, and I think a lot of the tropes as well that I could potentially be complaining about aren't really nearly as prevalent or nearly as annoying because, well, it's because of the simple fact that our main character, our main protagonist, doesn't really say anything. She doesn't say anything at all, and whenever she does say something, it's a huge moment for her, and you really feel for Komi when she finally actually gets to properly speak something on her mind, like when she cheers on Tadano in that like school sports festival thing. I forget what they called it. That was a really huge moment for her, and she motivates him to do his best, and it was an awesome moment. And seeing her do all these other slice of life stuff, like going and pick up like an order from a specific store, going to the water park, and the last episode of the season going to a karaoke where she doesn't sing anything at all and she gets a bad score, but the friends that she made along the way still cheer her on anyways because they really care about her and they're her friend, so that doesn't really matter. They want to cheer her on anyways. Obviously, a lot of them are kind of biased anyways because there are some of the characters from that classroom that she's in that see her as like this ultimate goddess or whatever, but it's still really endearing because they don't really care, right? They just know her for being this awesome, incredible person, and they cheer her on anyways, and they're always by her side. And seeing that, and seeing a show that's so focused on the characters instead of focusing on other things, just off a comparison to what I normally talk about on the channel, it was really different, and it was really entertaining just to see this. And I think I really needed it because I focus a lot on typical shonen anime, and romance isn't really something that they're really focusing on. Sometimes it's there because romance exists in any different type of media. It just is more prevalent in certain genres, and in shonen anime that's not really the focus of any of their shows. So seeing that in this one particular show, seeing Komi just go about her day to day and the type of struggles that she has to go through that are incredibly relatable and completely understandable, it just was really enjoying. I was really enjoying it, and when it ended, I was really sad because I wanted to see more. And of course, it's like, well, go read the manga if you want to see more, but I don't have time for reading manga. I can only just catch up on whatever anime it is that I'm missing out on, and yada yada yada. I don't want to keep this video going on for too long. This is just something that I had watched recently and I really wanted to talk about, and I just wanted to bring it up and talk about it on the channel. Animation obviously is very stylized and very beautiful. The characters and how they're handled and the wacky things that they do sometimes, and the comedy is pretty cute. There's a lot of very cute moments that happen in this show. Like, obviously there's going to be misunderstandings sometimes, but the way that they have to handle it with our characters, I guess you can call it a disability. I think that the way that they have to handle it in this sequence of events with this particular character, and like I said, her disability, the way that they have to do it is different. It's different than how other shows would do it, where it's like, we can get internal monologue, or even like an outwards monologue of whatever our main character is specifically thinking, but we have to just go off of facial expressions of what our main character is thinking and what happens afterwards. And I think another thing that helps as well is that one episode isn't really focused on a particular sequence of events. It kind of is focused on a whole bunch of events that are going on in one particular episode, unless it's this one big thing. And like when Komi and her friends went to the water park, that was like a whole episode. Whereas we get a handful of sequences where it could have been an episode each, but they instead just happen in one. It's one contained episode, and it was nice, right? It was nice the way that they handled it. The pacing was good, animation was good. This was just an incredibly endearing show, and I really wanted to talk about it because, like I said, I don't really watch romance anime, and this is a romantic comedy, and it was really good in the comedy aspect, and I think the romance is also really cute. And yeah, it was just really refreshing to see something like this for a change of pace. And I just really wanted to get my thoughts out really quickly because, like I said, it's something that's been on my mind. After finishing it, I really wanted to see more. I don't know if there's a confirmed season 2 or whatever, but whenever it's coming out, I'll definitely talk about and say my thoughts about the second season and say whatever I wanted to say. But yeah, go watch it. I recommend it 100%. It's really cute. I think if you're into that type of genre, I think you're going to really enjoy it if you haven't already seen it, of course. But I doubt that because I think I'm like one of the last few people that haven't seen it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you liked the video, be sure to like. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Have a fantastic day. I'm out. Peace. Drop that